on the G-Men in the Sea. Marc and Noah went to Union Island to master kiteboarding, where they challenged the cousins to catch a shark by its tail. In part 2, the G-Men in the Sea, we went off to Panama, where we stayed on Kobe Island, a deserted island which was a former prison. We went there to see the sharks, and we did. We saw sharks, frogfish, and of course, a giant whale shark. And now, on to the G-Men in the Sea, Part 3, Bonaire, Heaven or Hell. This goes back to when I was a child, reading Scuba Dive magazine, where I read once, if you're a diver, you're in heaven, if you're a non-diver, you're in hell. We were off to a rocky start. The weather didn't help. But once I got off the plane, I knew it was well worth the wait. Noah met a guy in the parking lot, handed him the cash, and we got the keys to our pickup. So, once we unpacked, we fired up the pickup and headed into town. And we found there was a parade, and there is a small nightlife on Saturday night in Bonaire. But most nights it's very quiet and simple, and you just look over the water. Every morning you get up at sunrise, then you walk along the beach to watch the natives practice their yoga. The first day you get to meet Roger. Roger offers an orientation meeting every morning at 9 o'clock. After the orientation meeting, you go downstairs and select your locker, pick up a couple of tanks, and then you walk off the pier for your orientation dive, where you can establish your buoyancy and how much weight you need for the week. We started off heading south on their main highway along the coast. I was told the shoreline was a bit rocky, that once you get closer and you look to the left, and then you look to the right, you find that the entire coast is very rocky, and there are areas with sea urchins, making walking around on the island a bit of a challenge. But Noah and I were on the freedom plan, and we were going to make the most of it. We did plenty of shore dives, and took advantage of the boat dives as well, right off Captain Don's habitat. Every morning we woke up to a sunrise and a rainbow. The two of us buddied up, and we enjoyed the warm water every day. So if you are a diver, you probably think you're in heaven. If you're a non-diver, you may agree that you're in hell, but there is something to do at night. We saw everything from trumpet fish, schools of fish, even found time to take a nitrox course. At one dive, we went to a wreck called the Hilma Hooker, which was down to 100 feet of water. French angels were everywhere, looking for a photo opportunity, trying to sit there and pose for their photographs. There was certainly no shortage of lionfish, and we made great friends and met several couples who've been going to Bonaire for decades. And as Roger said, there are no sharks in Bonaire. So once out of the water and just past the salt mountains is Noah's greatest challenge, kiteboarding. Noah immediately picked up where he left off in Union Island. So we loaded up our kite, walked into the water. The water was warm, conditions ideal, the wind was strong. There were times it rained on us, but it didn't matter. We were in Bonaire, the place where we wanted to be, heaven or hell. Noah was in the water, constantly trying to master this skill of kiteboarding. There is just so much time you could spend in the water. So it is the holidays. Noah and I got to do some Christmas shopping, some window shopping around Bonaire, looking around for that perfect gift. So on our last night in Bonaire, Noah and I looked at each other and said, we're still in one piece, we're still talking to each other. What can we do to really make this a memorable vacation? We decided, let's try cave diving. Why don't we try climbing down a 100-foot cave, a coral cave full of rocks, using a tiny little rope, and see if we can make it back in one piece. In hindsight, it may have been a really stupid idea to do this on our last day of our trip. And to make it more of a challenge, Noah decided to schedule a kiteboarding lesson at 11:30. So we had virtually a half hour to get back to our hotel, pack up our goods, drive around town, and back to the kiteboarding school to finish out our last kiteboarding lesson. So, on behalf of Noah and I hope you enjoyed watching this short video, Bonaire, Heaven or Hell. Thank you, and we'll see you next year.